Welcome back to another HDB renovation episode, and I know that we owe you all this episode because it has been 1 year since we talked about renovation, and I'm back with JJ again because the last time we talked about renovation costs, a lot of you are very interested. You'll say, where is part 2? Where is part 2? Finally, part 2 is here. Okay, and last episode, just to have a quick recap, we talked about hacking walls, we talked about flooring, we talked about epoxy grouting, we talked about bathroom renovation, we talked about paint secrets, all this. We even talked about total cost and, why 100k 6-figure renovation should not be the norm. And today I'm seated with JJ again, who is a licensed property real estate agent, so we can help you with all your housing and property needs. And he's also a property enthusiast. In fact, I watched his videos when he was doing all his BTO renovation and all that stuff. That's how I come to know, this guy quite good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So JJ, you want to share with us, because our audience have not seen you for a while, maybe a quick self intro.
Okay, my name is JJ. I run a couple of businesses and in media marketing and also in real estate. And I personally really enjoy renovation and real estate because I think real estate is also a great way to grow wealth or protect wealth, right? We talk about wealth protection and everything. But at the same time, property is a home for us to enjoy, right? For us to stay. So then the renovation component, I think, is quite important, to make sure that we don't overspend on it, but at the same time, it's very comfortable. Like how you share your entire renovation journey with your guests, your audience as well.
Yeah. Just for quick context, I spent 33k in total for my ballroom video renovation, but that was in 2024 numbers. Okay, so depending on when you're watching, these numbers may have inflated and changed. And for JJ, how much did you spend?
I spent about 44,000 in, I think this was 2022, for a 3-room sale of balance, which is basically a BTO lah.
Yeah. So both of our flats were clean slate. That's why we don't have a majority of the hacking things that all these costs that may incur in resales. So you have to consider our context first, because our numbers may be different based on the years and how the numbers have inflated over the years lah. So with that context given, today we want to talk about carpentry, because this was one of the most highly asked questions, because carpentry is actually very broad, and carpentry is one of those areas where it could either vary a lot. Can start from very simple ready-made furniture to all the customized carpentry, which is very expensive. And most of the carpentry would actually be held in the kitchen plus your bedrooms. Okay, so JJ, let's walk through all these carpentry costs together.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think when it comes to carpentry, right, most people, when they say carpentry, they refer to furniture that's affixed lah. So your kitchen cabinets or your built-in wardrobes, like those that you buy from IKEA and all that. I don't think it's just considered furniture lah. Yeah, so for me personally, right, I don't have any built-in carpentry for any of my living room or rooms. The only built-in I have is for my kitchen, which I think is where, for majority of home renovations, is the majority of the carpentry costs.
Okay, so for myself, right, my built-in carpentry is have in both areas, the bedrooms and the kitchen. Okay, but they are both different contractors lah. So I'll focus on the kitchen carpentry first. Okay, so for kitchen carpentry, if you have watched my kitchen renovation video, I paid around a total of 7k for the whole kitchen, and that's carpentry plus all the installation plus whatever the fittings lah. Okay, but how carpentry really works for a kitchen package is that I went to a direct contractor first, and then they have a basic package. So they will usually give you included 10 feet kitchen wardrobes and all, cabinet plus the quartz countertop plus cement base plus laminate plus free drawers and whatever. Usually it comes in a package, but usually people are drawn in to this package price because maybe 3 to 4k. Okay, now I think no more 3 to 4k, maybe 4k above lah. This was in 2024. I paid 3,680. That's the base, but that's just the basic price, because usually people would not be too satisfied with just the basic price. Then they add on the kitchen length, okay, maybe $100 per foot. So that was my 2024 price. Hot stop was $80 per foot, cement base $40 per foot, and core unit at $600 per 2 foot. So depending on how much carpentry you want to do for your kitchen, so all these costs can add up very much. Like my basic price is only $3,680, but after all the add-on and whatever upgrades that you do, balloon up to 7k. So it's essentially 2x the price. So that was my main kitchen cost. So I'm not sure about JJ, how much you spend on kitchen.
I spent slightly more. Your 7k does not include your kitchen floor.
No,
right? It's just a cabinet.
Yeah, you talk about carpentry.
Yeah, for me, I think it's slightly more because I think Chris is a bit more hardworking. He hire multiple contractors to do this. For me, I'm a bit more lazy, so I hired a main con instead. So obviously they will have a bit more of a markup lah, you know. So I spent, I think I can't remember the exact figure, but at least 10 to 20% more lah than Chris, which makes sense lah, like people markup. And I had the main contractor coordinate with my quartz contractor, with my wood, my carpentry contractor, and like all the fittings. They also helped me buy lah. So like it's just paying extra more for a service law.
And in fact, if you go to the carpentry contractor, usually they handle for you the main wardrobes only. The cement base and the quartz top are different suppliers, but they may have their own partners and then they just package together lah. Okay, so that's the fact. You don't think that everything done by your kitchen contractor. And the good news is recently my kitchen contractor come into contact with me again because he saw my videos actually on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
You know, we are in ongoing discussions on how we can benefit the audience. So if I have a new promo code or whatever link, I'll put it in the description below so y'all can go and check it out.
Nice. So for me personally, apart from the kitchen carpentry, I got no more carpentry already. But you do have bedroom carpentry, right?
Okay, so for my bedroom carpentry, I actually engaged a different contractor. My contractor is actually a furniture supplier in Malaysia. So why can you do customized furniture in your bedroom but not in the kitchen? I think it's because of some plumbing requirements where they cannot touch the kitchen. If it's a wet area, then yeah, they don't do for kitchen for Singapore. But for bedrooms, because it's not a wet area, so there's no waterproofing and all this. So it's basically just customized furniture. They fix it to the wall and then they seal it up. So it's not something that is very heavy works compared to the kitchen. Okay, so for my 3 bedrooms, right, I have full height wardrobes. Okay, so for master bedroom, it was a 6 feet wardrobe. For my common bedrooms, it was a 5 feet wardrobe for 2 bedrooms lah. And then comes with all the mirror, dressing table, side table, and whatever lah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like a full package. But because it's Malaysia price in 2024, back then Singapore to Malaysia ringgit still quite okay.
Yeah.
Not like now.
Yeah.
But the truth is I paid around 4 to 5k ringgit for just the master room. And then for my 2 bedrooms, the 5 feet wardrobe, I paid around 2.5k each per bedroom.
Actually, that's a very good price considering it is customized.
Yeah.
Right.
And they still have to ship it from Malaysia to Singapore. So I have to pay the GST.
So this includes the shipping cost and everything add together.
Shipping cost is free. But
Oh,
GST is not included because GST is paid to customs.
yeah. So but this is all in lah. Basically whatever you pay.
Yeah, this is all in.
Wow, that's damn good, man.
That's damn good. That's why we should look at Malaysia furniture supplier. But there's a different problem lah. Because like in Singapore, if you really have a problem, you can go back to the kitchen contractor. Then in Malaysia, how? They already done and made for you already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's any dispute or any mistake in measurement, then it can get quite serious lah. Then who is going to bear the cost?
Yeah.
So that is something you have to take note if you're working for Malaysia carpentry or furniture supplier lah.
Yeah, I mean for me, I just bought off the shelf lah. Most of my furniture in my bedrooms are from IKEA or 42. You know, it's a pretty popular local online thing. There's no showroom or whatever, not really. You just have to trust. I know a lot of our friends, people tend to also like to buy from Taobao lah. Yeah, which for me personally, I think it's a great place, but you actually have to do a lot of research, read the reviews and everything.
And then sometimes the reviews are fake one.
It's possible. Yeah, possible. So you just have to be very careful. I know Taobao furniture can be really damn good, or it can really be damn crappy one lah.
And for Taobao, maybe sometimes you see this reviewer or content creator, they say, hey, this Taobao furniture very good, but maybe the next time the listing is not there already because they change quite often. Yeah, that's the risk of Taobao. So one more carpentry that I did was for my TV console. Yeah, so some of you all like the TV feature wall, right? But I only did for the TV console 6 feet. So that was like 500 ringgit.
Also customized lah.
Customized and sealed to the wall. Yeah, because I don't like to have things that
gaps
have gaps then have insects and dust, all this.
Actually, that's very good lah.
Yeah. So that was more of a practical concern. No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very big believer of functional furniture, functional renovation. So like my house got no feature wall, no painting, hanging painting, or like this kind of like decorative things on. It's just everything is white, grey, wood and functional. So I also just bought an off-the-shelf TV console.
Yeah. So for those of you who have very heavy design requirements, maybe you'll find us, why so cheap? But actually the truth is because we have lower requirements. So you have to manage your expectations. If you want to do very nice, very fancy decorations and renovations, of course you have to expect the price will be quite different from what we are seeing
Yeah, correct. And my home is not a smart home. Is your home a smart home?
No. My home is damn stupid.
Same. Yeah, my home is a stupid home. So I think a lot of the people they build the smart home, right? Even within the carpentry and like the walls, there needs to be a lot of all these cables, lay all the smart cables, right? Which can cost quite a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially on the electrical works, which is what we are coming into, the electrical, plumbing, and hidden costs. And these are often the very boring, but actually quite expensive one. If you do renovation and you haven't covered in detail, you never plan all your wiring points and your plumbing water points, then you want to shift, that's where the cost becomes very expensive. For myself, my full electrical cost was only 2.3K. Okay, but that's the main reason is because we bought our own sockets. Okay, I'm not sure how much sockets really cost in the
These days,
real market lah, but because we bought our own sockets and then the electrician they just provide the labor plus the tools that they use to drill and all that whatever. And the truth is that BTO already have many electrical points. Like I went through in my empty house tour, a lot of people are very amazed. There's so many free electrical.
A lot, really a lot.
Yeah, and in fact, if you really don't need to shift the points to wherever you want it, maybe you don't even need to do electrical rewiring. Yeah. We do it is because we have some certain requirements that where we want to place certain appliances at certain places. But if you are happy with whatever HDB is provided for you, I think you probably don't even need to do for new BTO.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I never do. But I just use whatever HDB provided. The only electrical points I did was for my kitchen island. I install some extra, but it's just tapping into whatever HDB that already provided. Just tap a bit only. So actually, my cost is like very, very low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for resale flat, maybe there's much higher cost because maybe you're using very old wires. And then last time we have this big distribution box, which also needs to be replaced if you want a better one. And in very old resale flats, maybe each bedroom only have 2 electrical sockets, which is highly not sufficient in our today's home because we have so much more appliances and so much more equipment.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to add more. And then, yeah, all these costs will add up. And they count by number of electrical points.
Right. So apart from electricity, there's also like water plumbing and everything, which is the next big cost in terms of like the structural component of the house.
Yeah. And for me, right, I engaged a self-employed handyman to help me install all my bathroom features and accessories. I did not change any water point. Like my kitchen, the sink, the water point was originally there. Then I just put my sink there. And then my bathroom one, I never changed. So if you want to change the water point, you definitely need to change the piping and the plumbing and the drainage also. So that one will incur a lot more additional costs. And then the handyman also helped me install my water heater, plus install all my sink and taps and all that, all for a total package price of 1.1K. I'm not sure 1.1K is considered expensive or cheap, but back at that time, that was the option offered to me.
I mean, for me, I never do much plumbing also because it's a BTO, everything is set. The only thing I did was I shifted where my washing machine was supposed to be in the BTO layout. So I did have to drag one of the pipes out a bit more, but the contractor just did it for me for nothing because I already pay so much already.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very important to negotiate, especially if you're on a package. Because for myself, because I engage different direct contractors, so I don't have like an age to say, hey, can you help me provide this for free? Because I'm already dealing with multiple different vendors, and sometimes it can get quite complicated and quite messy already. Like one party have to finish the work first, then the other party can come in. Yeah, so that one is a quite different dynamic. It's an exchange of time for money.
Yeah, so you can tell, right, for Chris, he engaged a lot of different contractors and he managed that. He basically project managed the entire house. You have how many contractors do you have?
Probably like 10.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like I think I'm the mid-tier, so I have one main contractor and a few other subcontractors that I personally liaise with. But for the majority of the flooring, the wood, the carpentry, woodwork, electrician, or my main con is liaising. So I only liaise with like 3 to 4 different parties maximum. So of course, you can see that my renovation cost is slightly higher than Chris. But there are also the people who hire like a full suite of service, right? You just don't need to lift a finger.
Yeah, hands off they do for you. But of course, there's something known as a sweat equity, right? So what is sweat equity is how much time you actually spend on site every day. So for myself, every 1 or 2 days I have to go on site because there's always a new contractor and I want to make sure that my contractor is doing what I actually asked him to do. If the wrong placement, the wrong position, then you have to cancel and
then very difficult to
very
after
difficult. And not only that, your progress will get delayed. Okay, and then your shipping house, all these dates will all get. So unless you're a self-employed who are quite flexible in time, I really don't recommend you to, put in so much sweat equity. Because if you're a full-time employee, maybe the boss don't allow you to, every time go back home and look at your reno, which is not the company's priorities lah. So sweat equity is something you need to look at.
Yeah, but if you are engaging a professional to manage for you, I think in this industry, there's also like good IDs and contractors that, might not be so forthcoming, right? So in every industry, there is your black sheep and white sheep lah. So I think when you're auditioning or you're interviewing the ID and contractor, you have to make sure that you ask for their portfolio and you make sure that they have good reviews lah before. I think there's a lot of all this renovation nightmare, that happen to some people. So I think it's good to go in with your eyes open. Yeah, that's why I think some of the videos that Chris made is very helpful, because maybe some of the contractors or the IDs, they are not so honest. They might try to send you, King. Yeah, but then like having all this knowledge, right, you can then question them back.
And what I like about my videos mate is that because I have no affiliation with them, even if I bring business to them, I do not earn anything. For most of them lah.
Yeah.
So it's very transparent sharing. Of course, the cost may have changed by the time you watch the video. I know that some people use my video and use it to quote their contractor, and then they told me about it. Then the contractor would say, "Hey, this one not possible lah." So it happens lor. It's just that we need to manage our expectations lah. Okay, and very important thing is that if you get your own ID, your interior designer, doesn't mean that you just hands off everything to him, because this person may not be as responsible for you. This person, this ID is responsible for multiple houses, multiple homes. You are just one of the clients. So not necessarily you'll see him on site like every week or what. Some homeowners, maybe they also need to visit on site. Then they realize, hey, why am I paying so much to an ID for something I need to manage myself? Yeah. I know home renovation is a very stressful thing, but sometimes a lot of luck is involved also.
It's true. I think like meeting the correct ID and contractor actually is very important. Like your renovation journey can be a total, like breeze, or it can be a total pain, depending on who you choose to work with lah.
Yeah, and especially when someone makes a mistake, like I said, if the positioning of the electrical socket or the water point is wrong, and then your next contractor coming, hey, I thought I say I don't want to put here, I cannot put here. Then now who is going to take the blame? Okay, so are you as a project manager getting the blame, or you need to go back to your previous subcontractor? Or if you have an ID to blame? Yeah, I don't know. That one you all need to experience yourself, then you'll understand what we really mean here.
Correct. I think it's good to document down in black and white lah, whether it's in a PDF or Word document, like what you need, what you want, so that there is a place where everybody can refer lah. Because I can promise you that in every renovation, there will be things that go wrong. 100% there will be things that go wrong. So it's better to have a central like document where everybody can just reference, so that you reduce minimize the things that go wrong.
Yeah, and the reason why things will go wrong is because maybe you were speaking to the sales associate. Yeah, then the sales associate sometimes have the design. They help you say, give your proposal and the plan, all that. But the actual workers that come to your site, they also follow what the sales associate or designer or contractor tell them. So there's a lot of layers of communication along the way that may get missed or miscommunicated. And that's where problems start to occur. So this all you won't know until you start your own renovation.
Yeah, so I think when a lot of people plan for renovation, right, they budget, they do all the nice feature walls and everything, then they forget, right, after you move in, you need to have your sofa, you need to have your bed, you got a nice bed frame, but you need to have a mattress. So all this like soft furnishing, also very important to add into your budgeting.
Yeah. But this one we'll cover in a future episode, because this one I think is a whole topic on
absolutely.
It's not really related to renovation, but more of your design sense and placement sense, your positioning. So if you all want to watch the episode, go and comment furniture plus one, okay? Furniture plus one. This one we'll do an episode 3 of this series already. But next one, we want to talk about post-renovation realities. What happens after renovation? All the heavy work's done already. Okay, then what's next? Okay, number one, very important thing is cleaning and maintenance. Okay, because you think you can clean yourself. You really think so? You've never done any housework for the past 20, 30 years, and then now you want to clean one whole flat yourself.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I think post-renovation cleaning is something that you can look at to hire, and also routine cleaning lah. So I myself, I did a post-reno cleaning. I engaged a company. So they just send in 2 helpers. The whole afternoon, they just clear out all the dust, vacuum, mop the floor, whatever, clean the cabinets or so. So I think it's a worth it one-time investment because you thought you are good at cleaning, but these people, they do it every day. They know where to clean your house. So that's why I hired for around less than $400 in 2024.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I also did. Initially, I wanted to clean myself because I thought like cleaning how hard can it be, right? So after I went in post-renovation, I realized, wow, cannot. Because there's really a lot of like micro dust everywhere and all that. So I also hired a professional. I think I paid a little bit more than you, but it was very professional. They finished everything right in 1 hour because 5 people came. Then
5 people.
Yeah, everybody right had a job. So there's one guy that only clean window one. There's one guy that only clean floor one. So like everybody know their assignment, right? They come in, then after that they leave. So I paid a bit more lah, but I didn't have to stay there so long.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so that's the thing about cleaning. Don't overestimate your own efficiencies. Yeah. Okay, and one thing I engaged was routine cleaning. This was after post-reno, like your normal household maintenance. I only call it like every 2 to 3 months. Okay. I know some people call it every week, because I do my own cleaning also, but it's more of maintenance. Then every 2 to 3 months, if there are festivals like Chinese New Year, then I engage them to come in. It's the same post-reno cleaner that does. Do you engage them?
I do, but not the same one. So I engage one every 2 weeks that come in to do more all of the heavy, so like vacuum and all these things we will own self do lah. But more of the like the wiping of windows and like the cleaning of all these like gaps and stuff that we don't want to do lah. Yeah.
And how much is it?
It's really very cheap leh. It's like 15 or $20 per hour. We usually come in for about 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't do weekly lah. I do every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay. So that makes sense since you're doing like every 2-3 weeks. So for myself, I do like one time 4 hour. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
like
because it's
one time good one.
Yeah, because 2 months, 2 months
Every quarter basically.
Yeah, because 2 months and then every quarter, basically they have more things to do. So it's around $80 to $100 depending on how long they stay.
Wow, actually that's very worth it leh.
Yeah. You save up a lot of your time because we do a lot of housework, so like we don't mind doing housework. So yeah, depends on how much you dislike doing housework.
Yeah. So I mean, you also did the epoxy grouting, right? How about holding up for you?
I think it's decent. It's no complaints. Epoxy grout is just something that you do one time, and I only did epoxy grouting after looking at JJ's renovation. Then I know that epoxy grouting, you won't feel big check looking at the black lines in the floor. Because people, if you use the normal HDB grouting, like you never change, right? Maybe after 1 year, you start seeing all your tile lines become black away. And then there's no way to brush it. Don't kid yourself that you can brush it because it's not possible.
Yeah. So they're quite good. I mean, like the epoxy grouting for myself also, it's been like almost 4 years already, and it's still like holding up very well. Like my grout is damn clean.
Yeah.
So some cost in the beginning is can be quite helpful lah.
And in fact, I know a lot of you engage my epoxy grouting contractor because he keeps sending me message, keep thanking me lah. So
Nice.
Thank you to all those who support my epoxy grouting contractor. And if you want a referral, you get some free upgrade, I don't know, discount. You talk to him. Yeah, I'll leave it in the description below. So far, I think no one has really complained about it because epoxy grouting is just something you do one time. It's an investment. It's definitely not an expense because what you invest in is that you don't need to spend time cleaning and then feeling big check about your tile lines. I think that's just an emotional thing. Although it may feel quite expensive at the start.
Yeah, I think one other thing to really consider is that, like all this renovation or furniture, like it's nice like, like look nice, feel nice and everything. But I think just now I mentioned I am a very big fan of functional renovation lah. Like the functionality is also very important. 不要 好看不好吃 like like nice to see but not nice to use.
Okay, I'll give you one example. So a lot of people last time I don't know about now, but last time they go for all these like clear or transparent doors for the toilet.
Yeah.
Last time it's quite popular, now I don't know. So the thing is that the main complaints I heard about homeowners is that in the morning the sunlight shine through the window to the glass frosted door, and then even though I have like full black curtains, but my door is transparent. Then I get all the light. Then I don't know for what. Yeah, so it looks nice lah. It looks very nice, no doubt. But if it doesn't function the way you want it, like it disrupts your sleep, then no point doing it long. Like for myself, also the open shower versus closed shower concept. I mentioned this in my bathroom episode, and I say why I don't prefer a closed shower is because I don't want to every time go and scrub the grass, and then there's so much grime and all that. And then there are people in the comments that say, hey, you don't like a dry bathroom, is it? Yeah, okay. But the truth is that actually I don't really feel it. Like after the shower, we would dry the floor with the, that scrubbing glass.
Yeah.
Make sure that there's no wet spots before we sleep. So that's just a simple maintenance compared to the glass thing. And it also frees up the space. So
I mean, it's anyways, no matter what, there is some maintenance to be done lah. So it's just which one you prefer lah. I have a closed shower, but I have the glass thing lah. So after I shower, I also have to use the squeegee to eat the glass lah.
how is it holding up? Right?
It's actually holding up. So I'm very lucky in a sense, right? My house is very small. And my master bath, right, the shower, the wet area also very small. So the maintenance is not as difficult.
And maybe one more thing about functionality is the closed concept kitchen versus the open kitchen. So open kitchen looks much spacious and much bigger.
Yep.
Okay, but for me, it's a semi-closed concept kitchen. Like I have my glass door.
Fully enclosable, right? Can close finish one if you want. Yeah.
Finish. So I had the glass door, which a lot of people like, but quite expensive. Yeah, so it was originally open concept by HDB. But we kept the glass door in because we don't want the smell to permeate into the living room after cooking. So that was the functional concern over it. Yeah. And JJ, do you have an open concept?
Yeah, for me, I have an open concept kitchen because my house is smaller, like 700 plus square feet. I think yours is like 900 plus 1000. Right, mine is 700 plus square feet. So we just wanted a little bit more to feel like there's a bit more space. And frankly, me and my wife don't cook that often. So I think it's okay. Frankly, if I have a bigger space, I will opt for a closed concept kitchen also lah.
Yeah, so it's really give and take see what you like, and functional versus aesthetic, see what you prefer lah.
I mean, when for the kitchen especially, my biggest regret is I had a gas stove lah. Instead of induction.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the regret about?
I mean, like I kind of like cooking, but we don't really have a lot of time to cook. But every time if we do cook, right, I think gas stove harder to clean. Yeah, induction. I see almost my friends who have induction or even like heating coil, right? It's really just
what
and it's done. But the gas stove, it's like a lot of components, no, take out, and then if you fry rice, then the things will the gunk will get in the thing. My next house I confirm do induction or heating coil.
Yeah, please don't have the idea that you can do wok hei with your gas stove, because you're not a chef, you're not a professional chef. You want wok hei, you just go your downstairs, eat our store and get it. Yeah, we can replicate as well as them one. Okay, so one more thing is lighting. Lighting is definitely very important. In fact, I look into lighting more in my common areas. My bedroom lighting, actually, if you watch my video, it's actually very simple. My main lighting is in my living room. And the kitchen, we make sure that it's well lit, plus the corridor area and the master bedroom. The two common bedrooms, we don't really focus much. But that's also because most of our guests, they are in the common areas. So that was my area of focus. It's not like every big room in my house is like well lit. Okay, that one I have to admit. So I think lighting is so very important because it brings the aesthetics of the house. Don't care your renovation or furnishing how well done, but if there's no strong lighting or well lit space, it may bring the whole level quite down. Yeah. So for JJ, do you spend a lot of lighting as well?
Actually, I did there. I mean, previously I was looking at overseas lighting. Yours is overseas source, right?
Yeah.
Malaysia also, right? My one Singapore I engaged a Singapore company to do my lighting, separate from my contractor. Most of my lighting is track lighting. Yeah, because I think it's easy, more customizable as we live. Then we see like which spot we want more lit and everything. The only aesthetic lighting I have is my dining room pendant light, which is from IKEA. It's like 79 bucks or something like that. Yeah, very cheap one. So yeah, it's I think lighting is very important, like you say. But my lights are not smart lights. They're one color, cannot change color. It's just on and off only.
Yeah. Then I realized, hey, my house got no smart things at all. But one thing very smart is that I've placed all these switches in very strategic areas where it's either very easy to reach or it might just make sense. Because I know some switches, they don't make sense. Like the appliance is here and then the switch. Yeah, and in fact, I changed one of the position of the switch because I made a mistake. That one cost quite a bit. So very important in the placement. You need to know that, maybe this fan or this light, why you want to place it there. It must make sense to your the flow of how you want to walk to your home.
How much do you spend on your lighting? Do you remember?
In my lighting, I don't think I spent anything more than $1,000 there.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's damn good.
Yeah. Because I know people who spend like a few thousands on lighting. Mine is probably like low hundreds. low few hundreds.
Wow, okay. I mean, I am in the few thousand category, but it's a low one. I think about $2,000 lah. I know people who spend more than $10,000 on lighting on, because there are some companies in Singapore that offer lifetime warranty.
Oh yeah.
You know, you hear of these companies that basically like if you stay there 100 years, if the company is still around, they will change everything for you if spoiled.
Oh yeah, and one more thing about lighting is that the price in Malaysia versus Singapore is very huge.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's it. So for example, right, a 5-meter LED light strip plus the starter, right, cost me $100 in Singapore. You know how much it cost me in Malaysia?
Yeah, I guess. $30?
30 ringgit or
30 SGD.
Cost me 60 ringgit. So it was 30 ringgit each.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a big difference. So you can see that the markup is very different. But the reason why I bought it in Singapore is because that time very urgently. Like if I don't finish the lighting, my next process cannot move there. I need to delay my moving by a week at least. So I think that the cost spent was okay to cover for that $100.
Yeah, it's always an exchange of value, lah, right? You pay a bit more, you get faster, lor.
And that's a very important thing, because as we wrap up all this project management, whether you do for ID, contractor, and DIY, it's really your sweat equity versus your time versus your money. Which one do you value more? Okay. And at different phases of life, you realize that actually I don't mind putting in more effort to go on site and look at all these things and discussing my contractors. But at a different stage of life, you may realize that actually I could just outsource this. There's no right or no wrong. It just depends on what your priorities are, lah.
Yeah, I think outsourcing is very underrated, especially for people who like to hustle. I don't know about you. You seem like quite a hustler to me also. So it's like, I think last time we always take pride in doing things ourselves and being capable. But as we grow our life, we get to a certain stage in life, we get to a certain stage in our business, then you realize that, well, actually outsourcing can really, really make our life and our business a lot more efficient.
And for example, you can choose to sell your own HDB flat, right? But why would you want to engage a kitchen? Maybe that's where I need to kill JJ, because he provides all this service. But speaking from a non-real estate professional, I feel that if you need to keep taking clients to go and view your flat and all that, yeah, it takes up your time, and you may not have the real expertise to share the real selling points of the flat. So that's also something that we look into when we are talking about property ownership and buying and selling. That's why you should look for him, lah.
I mean, okay, this one is, I think there's nothing wrong with DIY, I think. It's just what we want in life, though. If you feel like you don't mind, like what Chris said, right, sweat equity, do all this work, all this groundwork, and you are proud of it, I think, yeah, just sure, go for it, right? Because DIY, there's nothing wrong with DIY. But I think if you value your time, you feel like there is better things for you to do, to go and make that dough, like to provide for your family, then yeah, I think engaging service providers is not a bad thing. These days, I focus a lot more on back-end research, how to use real estate or even other asset classes to grow wealth or protect wealth. So all the on-ground work is actually done by my team, and they are super experienced in identifying all these gaps in the market, as well as when you enter a HDB or condo, right, one of the things that you need to look out for that a lot of people miss, because once you pay the down payment, let's say it's yours, you cannot like say like, hey, well, I want to quit this transaction.
So it's very important. Know what you want, then you go and make your own strategic decision. So maybe in our future episode, like I said, we are going to cover furniture if the audience will ask for it, and maybe we'll cover some of the regrets of after renovation. What real regrets do you have?
Yeah. Renovation regrets.
Okay, and if you ever watched part 1 of the video, please go and watch. That's where we discuss our renovation costs for the other stuff, like all the flooring, the painting, and whatever. Yeah, so you can go and watch it in the previous video right here.